Now that you know best practices in optimizing both your website structure and your page content, here are some tactics you should avoid. These tactics can get you banned in search engines or penalized and placed in the supplemental index. A common tactic is hiding text, creating hidden text that has the same color as your background. Webmasters do this in an effort to get their keywords more often on a page and not present that content to a visitor because it can be ugly. However, search engines can see that by parsing your CSS files. So please avoid that. Any content that you're showing to a search engine should also be viewable by a visitor. Along the same lines as creating hidden links within pages. So that's the practice of creating links between pages of your site with the same color as your text or backgrounds. By text, I mean the other text on the page, and background is your page background color. So if you have a link on the page, make sure that it's a different color than your body text, so that way visitors know it's a link and they can actually click on it. Keyword stuffing is another practice to avoid. That's including your targeted keyword phrase unnaturally many times throughout your page. Let's say your phrase that you're targeting is WordPress training. Search engines would expect you to use that phrase together 3 to 4 times throughout a 300 to 500 word article. They would also expect you to use the word WordPress on its own and the word training on its own. So the word WordPress without training after it, and the word training without WordPress preceding it. So as you're writing copy, try and write it for someone to read, not just for a search engine to index. Next would be creating duplicate content. That's the practice of either reusing another site's content without citing your source, or having multiple versions of the same page content on your own website. So if you use another site's content, make sure to cite your source and link back to where you got that content from. And on your own site, try to only have one instance of the same page on your site. If you have landing pages for ad campaigns and you don't want search engines to index them, set them to no index, or use a robots.txt file to hide or block that URL from being indexed by search engines. Next is creating low quality content. That's content that isn't very usable. It has poor grammar, bad punctuation, or lack of punctuation throughout, and people just won't find it to be a good source of content. Search engines are going to look at that. They're going to look at your readability scores of your content and make sure that it's in line with your industry. So don't just crank out low quality content so that way you have more opportunities to rank. Make sure it's written for a purpose. Lastly, there's a practice called cloaking, which is displaying different content to a search engine crawler than what you display to visitors. It's pretty similar to doing hidden text or hidden links, but it's just a more technical way to do that. So again, any content you're displaying to visitors should be shown to search engines, and any content you're showing to search engines should be presented to visitors as well.